Well, good morning, friends. It is morning again, and that means I have another opportunity to be either civil or fervent as per my mood. Civil's better. Civil's better than fervor, really. Civility is to be preferred over fervor. The thing is, increasingly, I really try to deal with all my engagements with ideas, especially in a civil fashion, but I haven't always. It's like I get some of the strong emotions that cause dialectic evolution to cling to his wrongness in such dramatic fashion, to be so dishonest, But I recognize those feelings. I understand what it means to be passionate about something, and so it's like, correctly thinking requires that one balance being civil with being fervent. I am a female ISFP. No wonder I'm always having sex. No, you're doing thought experiments. It's different. Is it frustrating that I have such a ready and correct answer all the time? If it is, then you're like dialectic evolution. If it's not, then you're somebody who can engage with me. Dialectic evolution? I don't think he's ESFP. I think he might be ENFP because he writes well. You're the queen of the 2-week comeback. Well, the thing is, I wasn't always this quick with the comebacks and stuff, but it's almost the most important thing in an ENTP's life. so we practice it. It's like, I don't know. SI is so critical in an ENTP development. Being old is such a blessing. It's being a young ENTP is difficult, although less difficult in the modern world than it used to be, I suspect, because there's access to more information. Of course, the ENTP nature is to not like to find information from other people by nature. We prefer to just make everything up ourselves and be all of my ideas are entirely original and entirely revolutionary and groundbreaking and mind-blowing. Well, it doesn't take a whole hell of a long time for you to realize that that's not going to work. You're going to have to find something worthwhile building off of. So I wonder, what exactly makes you an ENTP, Eric? Why can't you be any other type? Well, I mean, I guess can's the wrong verb. you'd want to use a be verb there. Why aren't you any other type? And the reason is because such is the nature of identity that it's distinct and an identity and not some other identity. It's like saying, why can't black be white? Well, because they have distinct identities. Of course, the thing is, my identity as an ENTP is not something I possess. It's saying that's the correct label according to this box of terms and meanings. And as a correct label, it's less arbitrary than most. That's about as much as we can say about it. Well, my perceptions of my identity and my conceptualizations about my identity are sort of different things. So, I perceive myself less actively than one might think, which is to say, I spend less attention thinking about what statuses I attain or don't than one might think. I spend a lot more attention thinking about things not me, than I do thinking about things that are me. So in that regard, I'm almost hesitant to actively attend to my perceptions of myself because I see it as an area of risk, such that if I think myself meh, then it's either going to be limiting or aggrandizing, one of the two. Even if it's not, even if it's completely accurate, there's certain kinds of subscriptions which can be. It's still, well, some kinds of things are more risky than others. So, like, for example, if I'm going to start thinking about myself in terms of how smart I am or how correct I am, that's a very risky area to think, because then I'm focusing on me rather than on the things I'm thinking about. And as soon as I start going, I am the shit, meteors fall on my head. It's just, without exception, as soon as I start attending to how great I am, I trip and I fall and my face falls in a big pile of dog shit. It's like unavoidably so. It happens every time. So I try not to do that. I shit you not. It's like, if I start talking like that at all, pride cometh like immediately before the fall for me. It's like my pride won't even let me enjoy it for very long before I immediately fuck up. So I try to just focus on other things. Like, I also recognize how I don't have a problem focusing on how remarkably big a failure I am. So by any reasonable standard, while I may be a success against somebody who has no visibility publicly, if you consider public visibility a success, then yes, I am successful compared to the average person who has no real public visibility. But if you actually gauge my success on YouTube, this has to be the slowest growing YouTube channel in history. I mean, seriously, I seriously doubt if there's anybody else who's put out as many videos and who has been as serious about YouTube and, genuinely not crazy. Okay. Because I know that there are sometimes you get some people who just put up crazy nonsense 24/7. Well, okay, understandably, their channels aren't going to grow very fast, but even those channels probably grow faster than this. But for people who put up this much content on a regular basis, that's not just crazy nonsense, but is at least saying something, it has to be the slowest growing YouTube channel in history. I've been at it for 7 years, and I have 5,300 videos. I barely have more subscribers than I have videos. How crazy is that? I get to watch every other YouTuber who talks about the same topics I do zoom right past me. Time and time again. So the thing is, it's like those kind of realities help keep my ego in check as well. Obviously, I'm doing something wrong. I appreciate all of your affirmation, by the way. I appreciate the fact that all of you guys are here. I am not unaware of the fact, nor ungrateful towards those few of you who do regularly come around here and chat with me and enjoy my company. I guess I'm a very fairly specialized taste. Oh yeah, I get money from YouTube. Not very much, but like this month is the most I'm gonna get. This is gonna be my biggest month ever. That's kind of exciting. My biggest month ever this upcoming month. $300 and some for me too. So that's pretty exciting. That's not bad, right? That's not bad. 300 and some bucks. Well, Rachel is always coughing. That is super annoying. I cannot deny the fact that Rachel's coughing can be super annoying. But you know what? I prioritize Rachel's comfort and ease and ability to cough when she wants over everybody else's. I just feel like, that girl suffered enough aggression towards her pot smoking in her life that I just want to the other day I think we were going to like the supermarket or something, and she decided to bring the bong with her in the car. And I'm like, hey, good thinking. I like that. I appreciate you doing that. Not because I wanted to smoke anybody in the car, but just because I always want to affirm Rachel's pot smoking. Personally, I think it's adorable. Right. Well, here's the thing. If I were doing this for money, I would have stopped long ago, obviously. Because I would have learned that you Rachel cough dab. Do a dab every time Rachel coughs. We should do it. You know what? From now on, I'm going to have that. There's going to be as always, people are encouraged to play bong with Rachel. Every time Rachel coughs, hold on, rip. You can make it into a drinking game if you're a drinker, although you're going to get pretty drunk. Octavio says, its inaccessibility to general audiences, low production value, and poor branding, in my opinion. I don't want to be rude, but that's how I see it. Octavio! Poor branding? Low production values? I am hurt. Yeah, I know. Hey, you can't have everything, right? You can't have everything in life. It's like that one comedian said, you can't have everything. Where would you put it? Well, thank you, Octavio. I didn't mean to bring up this subject again at all. I was talking about ego in general. No, it's that really dry comedian who always uses no expression in his voice at all and just has weird kind of abstract jokes. I forget what his name is, but it's not George Carlin. I know whose joke it is. He always just talks like this. His jokes are almost all one-liners. I don't know. I'd have to yeah. Stephen Wright. That's who it is. Winston's mom got it right. Stephen Wright. That's whose joke that is. I like Stephen Wright. He's got a lot of good lines, you know. He's a clever joke writer. Very clever joke writer. So anyway, he did think it was a hostage terrorist stream until he saw no terrorists. You should just make less live streams and more edited content. Okay. I mean, the thing is, why do you think I'm live streaming right now? Is there anybody in the world who thinks that I've decided to live stream this morning because it's part of a larger plan to maximize my success? Is there anybody here who thinks that that's why I live streamed this morning? The reason I live streamed this morning is because I wanted to chat with you guys about stuff. Okay. It kind of goes along with pulling my first morning bong rips. I just think, wouldn't it be nicer to pull my first bong rips while I was live streaming? And the answer is yes. Yeah, I just have to accept what it is. And the thing is, a lot of times I talk about my my feelings about things or whatever. But what do I really want, you guys? Like every FI user, I don't need you to fix it, okay? I just want you to commiserate with me. Come on, FI users. Commiseration. That's what we are here for. Not solvency. We are problem admiring, okay? I am being a problem admirer. And you guys are here to help me. Help me admire my problems. Let's not try to solve them. You are correct, Legends Fall. That's a good catch. Mitch Hedberg sort of does fit that description too. That's a good catch. That's some good NI there. Have I considered working out? Hector Pierce, I work out 4 hours a day every day. Can't you tell? I'm constantly they're type policing me. I'm sure they'll become very successful. No doubt they will become highly successful. Yeah, Skyger's kind of got it right. I bring it on myself when I start complaining about it, though. You needed this dream for your FI because last night was insane. Tell us about it, Ghosto. Did you have a rough evening because you went on a date with Joey and he turned out to be a giraffe? That would be a surprising story. Nobody would expect that. Type police myself is not a terrible idea. Right now I'm on a sleepy week, so I've got a very finite amount of energy, and it's a small amount of energy in general. Your grandmother has COVID. She recovered and is now feeling good as ever. Good. Mr. Thai Police. Am I the Thai Police? Do I go around and arrest people for making bad Thai food? I like Thai food pretty well. You know, I could go for a good pad Thai now and again. No, I wasn't thinking about, Thailand is known for two things: she-males and good food. And I was thinking more of the second half. There are two things that Thailand offers. It's she-males and good food. I should just make a list of plans. You just put in a little bit of effort, you can get far. I see. It's a strange conclusion to draw, given that I've already put in a lot of effort. Oh, you're a nurse? You had a patient start coughing up blood at 6 this morning? Oy, oy, oy. That's much worse than my hypothesis. I bet this morning you were thinking to yourself, gosh, I wish I had decided to become a wet nurse instead. Then I'd just be sitting here feeding babies all day. Sorry, I couldn't hear for a second. Eric, did you say whether you saw that INTJ comment or not? I didn't see any INTJ comment. Let me look. Oh, you mean comment? No, I don't think I saw an INTJ comment. You're not talking about a chat? You're talking about a comment? Okay. What do you think of Rebecca Vardy and Wayne Rooney's wife's beef? I haven't even heard of it. But Ghost, I want you to really consider the possibility that maybe yeah, sure. Email to Anthrax. I'll do whatever. You want to collaborate? Sure, no problem. However is fine. I don't care. Right now I'm like, this is the first real day of no Adderall. So no, I'm not. So expect little at the moment. Okay. Everybody should realize that I am currently engaged with the doing part of myself as much as I can. Like, this is the maximal. I have no speed in me, and my dopamine levels haven't fully recovered yet. So, what I'm talking about this morning, though, David Sanderson, is The lost job of wet nurse. If I was a woman, I would want to be a wet nurse. What happened to your dopamine levels? Well, I've been on Adderall for a couple of weeks, and that's quite a comment. I mean, the my NI is good, and I am practiced at making increasingly watchable videos. Part of that is because I have learned over the years that sometimes I want to rewatch a video or watch it. I mean, not rewatch it, but watch it. No, not right now, David Sanderson. That's way beyond my capacity at the moment. So my NI is very developed and my FE is very developed because of YouTube. So it's true that I try to finish answering questions and such. It's true that I'm not entirely a slave to my extroverted intuition. And I've gotten pretty good at saying things in ways that are clear, relatively concise, and watchable, because I like to watch my videos sometimes. And when I do, it's very obvious to me as a viewer which ones are good and which ones are not, which ones are super boring. There are times when I'm watching the live stream and I yell at the radio in the car, not watching, listening to in the car usually. I'm like, hurry the fuck up, Eric. Like I get pissed at my own slowness. Well, as a consequence, then the next time I do it, I am aware of that to a certain extent. Since I've made so many videos, my video making has gradually improved overall. It still falls into a range of bad to good. So it's like the worst of my videos are very boring and very self-indulgent, and I'm not actually addressing topics, and I'm just maybe strumming the guitar and reading things and or taking a test while I'm live streaming or playing chess or whatever. It's like those are the worst live streams. The best live streams are the ones where I'm thoroughly addressing a series of topics like this guy in the INTJ comment said. But because I'm a human being who can learn and improve, I'm much better at making good media than I used to be. Rain asks, would I describe myself philosophically as a pragmatist, e.g. the way you define things? I mean, I don't have a label for myself philosophically. I would describe myself politically as a pragmatist. So I don't mean to avoid the question entirely. There is legitimacy in that label, but it doesn't really describe me philosophically. I don't identify as any particular philosophical school. Well, Jeeves is here. Hallelujah. If you really want to know that things are good, if you really want to see that things are as they should be, then know the following. Jeeves is here. That's right. Yeah, I'm totally down to collaborate in whatever way you want. Just be prepared to do the legwork and say, okay, Matt, do this now, Eric, and then I'll do that thing. Okay, but don't expect me to to know what's happening, or I'm good at following orders. All right, so let's just approach this collaboration in that way. Okay, you give me an order, I'll follow it. That way I don't have to think about it. Okay. That's a bad way to communicate with me, email answer. You're better off emailing me. I rarely check Facebook. I had to go out this morning and get more creamers. We go through so much coffee creamer. I shit you not. We go through 3 or 4 of these a week. I mean, it's ridiculous. Hi, Kenton. Kenton, you were a pleasure to have on yesterday, by the way. It can be a challenge to have conversations with other extroverts. Much less so with introverts. If at some point you decide you've got some questions or something, I really like being quote unquote interviewed. I don't mind interviewing other people too. I like that as well. But yeah, I really like being interviewed because it's like I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of things to say about, say, cognitive functions. But there's always this challenge of where to begin. You can begin at the beginning, but not all questions are about the beginning. And, there's this ongoing approach to modeling cognitive functions, whereby everybody who's encountering me talking about it is at different levels of understanding regarding the matter. So they have different kinds of questions. Well, you could look at exciting tables and words about human personality, which is not a bad resource on it. I'll put a couple links up here. It's a little old, but by and large, consistent with what I say now. Exciting tables and words about human personality. It's a great title. Copy link. Link copied. Paste. People are very, very interested in negating my ENTP hood. There is no such thing as a personality type. Nah. I feel my way through life. I do. I've got a set of feelers that come out of my forehead like a butterfly, and they feel things. Isn't it exciting that Rachel won the contest on Adult Swim, and she's getting some pickle seltzer, and we're also getting a edibles arrangement pickle related edible arrangements. So what do you think about that? That's pretty cool, huh? That's pretty special. They're less abstract but offer more value because one can do logical work with them. So, I mean, am I argumentationally pragmatic? Sure. I respect language for what it is. I think the people who try to make things more abstract but less useful make them more metaphorical and less actual. What type I am. I mean, it's so obvious what type I am. You gotta really, I mean, I don't think anybody who's evaluating the thing objectively is having serious doubts about whether or not I'm an ENTP. The people who question whether or not I'm an ENTP are definitely trying to, delegitimize me in some way or another. Am I just an ISFJ dude always in an ENTP mood? Maybe that's it, yeah. I'm an ISFJ who's constantly acting like an ENTP. Thinking like one, behaving like one, feeling like one. There are more people who think Eric is ISTP than there are people who think he's INTP. If somebody thinks I'm an ISTP, then they just don't seem to, in my opinion, they just don't understand anything about cognitive functions. It's like people who think I'm an ISTP, I just go, yeah, I'm a BRNG. So part of, I guess, my process right now is developing an increasingly detached approach towards varying kinds of attacks. Learning to respond to things without getting all emotional or whatever, and learning to respond to all of this stuff I hear, appropriately. Being civil instead of fervent. In the past, I'd taken an approach that fervence is sort of a quick and dirty way to get where you're going. And in certain circumstances, it can be helpful when it seems as though there's a circumstance where people have normalized something that's very like wrong / makes no sense. That they need to be sort of shocked out of that with some expressive language. But that is very rare. And I think the vast majority of the time it's the opposite that people need. That they need to be communicated with in ways that presume their own legitimacy and presume that they're people who are well-intentioned and deserve respect, and yet I have something to talk to them about that I think, it's going to bother them. So, yeah, James Anderson is throwing out random ideas to see what sticks primarily. He likes to see what sort of response certain statements provoke without actually representing those statements. He doesn't necessarily make that clear. Jeebus asks, why aren't you selling merch like that TWFP pumpkin hoodie Rachel sports? It's a good question. I should sell some merch. I used to sell some, but nobody bought it. And then I ended up giving it to various people, the shirts and stuff. And I was bad at selling stuff. I'm really bad at selling. It's like I could be pimping my typing service, right? Trying to get more typing clients. I could be making periodic videos saying, hey guys, don't forget my typing service is available, blah, blah, blah. But my relationship with the channel and such is that historically it's been the thing I want to do, not the thing I ought to do. And once things become purposed from a business perspective, then they cease to become what you want to do. And like the song says, I don't want to wait for my life to be over before I meow, 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 meow. That's what I think, too. Abstract versus operational thing. Well, I actually think, Rain, that it has a lot to do with SI, that my particularist experiences have shaped my TI and my NI in very specific ways. Because what I see in working with my ENTP client, Jeffrey, is the NI ignoring is frustrating. The impulse to always go any and do whatever the newest idea is and whatever he comes up with on the fly, ignoring what I've told him as the single best way to go is, it's frustrating. But I also see how that's why I'm not like that anymore, is because of debate. So, okay, question mark. I fully embrace your plan to get me 100,000 subscribers, as long as it doesn't involve me. He was the deceased? Who's dead? I hope nobody's dead. 2 girls, twins, were attending a funeral of a distant relative whom they did not know very well. There was a handsome young man around their age who also attended. Unfortunately, neither of the girls managed to talk to him and get his name and phone number before the end of the event, and he left. 1 month later, one of the girls murdered her sister. This is some sort of puzzle question. And then what, Sean O'Neill? And then what? ISTPs are the best at deciphering new information versus old. That's why we're the best troubleshooters. I think that ISTPs experience expert intuition in real time. In other words, they don't do any work regarding that matter outside of their experience. So as a consequence, that's not a nonsense thing to say that he says there. When he's simply evaluating any, he's designed perfectly to do that with a TI. It's just the generating of it that's not happening. You're trying to get somebody to debate me right now? Check my Twitter. This is the first day of Sleepy Week, right, David Sanderson? I will. I totally will, but you're kind of killing me here with the first day of Sleepy Week. If it's going to happen, for sure, give me some heads up so I can get some Adderall before we start doing this shit, because all I'm planning for the day is a day full of naps and schmaps, all right? I'm not unwilling to change that plan if, in fact, you got something serious and I have good reason to do it. But if it's still just sort of up in the air, then yeah. Does Sleepy Week mean you ran out of drugs? Correct. I ran out of Adderall. Which is something that happens every month, and it's sort of part of the plan. Helps me to, go back and forth. I like the idea of having a couple sleepy weeks at the end of the month, Well, a sleepy week and then a sort of regular Eric week before I go back on. I love sentences that begin with "maybe you should." Maybe you should mind your own business, Jeebus. What makes you think that you're better suited to determine how I should take my drugs than I am? Is it because you're an asswipe? Maybe that's why. That's my diagnosis. Maybe you should be less of an asswipe. Maybe I should listen to the doctors, huh? Uh-huh. Okay, Jeeves. Once again, maybe you should think about who's better qualified to determine how I should take drugs unprescribed, me or you. Okay? Since you seem to have an opinion about it, maybe you should wonder why you have an opinion about how I take the drugs that are prescribed to me. Maybe you should think about that. What are your thoughts on ADHD symptom RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria? Do you relate to it at all? I've never even heard of it before. Rejection sensitive dysphoria? I could Google it. Let's see. Never heard of it. Rejection sensitive dysphoria. They're very sensitive to what people say about them. This is sometimes called rejection sensitive dysphoria, which is an official diagnosis. People with RSD don't handle rejection well. They get very upset. They think someone has shunned or criticized them, even if that's not the case. Up to 99% of teens and adults with ADHD are more sensitive than usual to rejection, and nearly 1 in 3 say it's the hardest part of living with ADHD. People who have the condition sometimes work hard to make people like and admire them, or they might try to stay out of any situation where they might get hurt. Social withdrawal can look like social phobia. RSD can. I mean, it sounds like third slot FE in a bad context. That's what it sounds like to me. Twitter.home, huh? An update to your auto sharing data. Your data sharing settings. I don't care about that. I don't have any new messages. No new messages for me. I mean, look, the thing is this. It's true that I'm sensitive to people's perceptions about me. And it's also the case that I have developed a lot of strategies to deal with that, and or SI is important. So if you go into a circumstance and you are putting yourself out there and you're getting a variety of feedbacks, then you're going to respond to it as in a variety of ways. I used to be much more reactive to people's critiques, but I also had concurrently a lot of affirmation from YouTube, and those two things competed against each other. And plus, being an ENTP means being SI and FI polar. What that functionally means, FI polar plus SI, is that when I don't like how things feel, I retreat and go into rah-rah mode and just entirely go into SI mode, where it's like I'm worrying about, all I'm attending to is how my physical body feels and how comfortable I am eating food, and I'm paying no attention to any emotional stuff, and I'm not thinking about meow or meow or meow. You demonstrated the sensitivity over my concern of you burning for your prescriptions. That's not concern, Jeebus. Don't lie. I mean, so Jeebus is right that, as I explained in the video the other day, I am much more subject to FE critiques than any other kind of critiques. And that is a bit of a weakness of mine. So it's like, if I'm going to get attacked, it's going to be attacked on things that make me look bad that aren't legitimate things, And that's one of those things. And I've got to learn that the fact that it's illegitimate is what's critical here. Jeebus isn't talking about my behavior actually being bad. He's not talking about me doing anything bad. He's talking about me doing something that sounds bad, right? So it's correct that it touches on some sensitivity. But that's one of the things that I'm learning to deal with in a more effective way. And this is what it comes down to, again, civility versus fervor. So Jeebus's anger and dislike of me kind of seethe through everything he does. And I want to be able to to sort of evacuate that kind of stuff from myself. I don't want to be like that. I want to be able to and be willing to sort of understand my way out of those kind of things, as hopefully I am right now. No, I know you're not angry, Jeebus. I know. It's okay, buddy. So and that's the beautiful thing, question mark, is I don't try to hide. And that's why it's almost impossible to get on top of shit, right? If you're opposing me and you're trying to get an advantage, it's almost impossible because I tend to take everything head on. Whereas everybody who attacks me is always cowardly doing so from the shadows. Jeebus isn't deciding to come and talk to me face to face in the room and have a real conversation. Question mark's not either, So you get used to it. Cowards do as cowards are. NI users produce art as well. Why is art so associated with any? I don't know. I think it's just a misconception. I think most of the very best stuff that I like a lot of it I attribute to INFJs. And by and large, I think NI is a better vector in art than NE. So, like, I also attribute some of the best songwriting I think is by like Billy Joel, who's I type him as an ENFJ. His lyrics are certainly very ENFJ, and I think most people agree that Kendrick Lamar is probably the best rapper right now. He's an INFJ. Dr. Dre's an INFJ. The thing is, I think that too much extroverted intuition in music is bad. It makes me not like it as much. I think that the ultimate third slot extroverted intuition band is Dave Matthews Band. Dave Matthews Band is straight up NI polar garbage, and so I dislike it strongly. Disco lights might make things more exciting, but they might just bother me. That's not at all unlikely. So I'm probably going to bypass or skip on the ye old disco ball. So that's not accurate. That just goes to show you that NE is unconscious for Jordan Peterson. That's not how NE works at all. NE works off of SI and SE. NI then identifies sort of where to go. Okay, like that's what it means to use your intuition on a set of ideas and etc. I've not reviewed it at all. To the extent that it differs from what I'm saying in ways that are exclusive of what I'm saying, it's wrong. This is my general position on every other personality theory or whatever. I'm not going to go investigate it. I've done the important work of getting it right. To the extent that others disagree with me, then they are wrong about it. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. The creative mind plays with the objects it loves. I mean, again, that's Carl Jung just projecting his function bias. Carl Jung did a poor job of excluding his own function bias from his own work. It's chock full of it. From what I can tell, granted, you might say, but Eric, you haven't read that book yet. True that. Good critique. According to the Big Five, that's a funny statement. According to the Big Five, psychopathy is related to EXTP. Tall and tan and young and lovely. That's what people always say about me. They say, Eric, you are If I could think of 3 adjectives to describe you, those 3 adjectives would be tall, tan, young, and lovely. And I say, but that's 4 adjectives. And they say, aha, like that. You see? Yeah, all right. Eric, do you have any tips for writing fiction when any is difficult? Actually, I would say I mean I have wrestled with my ISTP 5th grade student over this very thing so many times now. How do I get you to ideate, ISTP girl? And the answer is continue to elude me. You know, the way that extroverted intuition works for me is I look around and I go, okay, well, there's a wristband. So now I'm going to tell a story about a guy who's got a wristband. And obviously, the wristband is going to have to be critical to the story. So for some reason, he's going to have a deep attachment to his wristband. It turns out his father was a basketball player who wore this wristband in the professional basketball leagues and died tragically young of a gunshot wound from a fan of an opposing team. And this wristband is all that the child, now 14 years old, has left of his father. Like his father, he's an incredibly good basketball player. So, okay, how did all that stuff happen there? Well, I looked at wristband and I drew the obvious association that wristbands associate with sports. And I thought of a story, it needed a character. And so the character is going to be attached to the wristband for some reason. Well, why? What's an obvious reason to be attached to a wristband? This is where the NI comes in. So it's like you can see every spot where the NI comes in, right? Oh, because his father died and left him his wristband. That's the only thing he has left from his father. Okay, well, so what's another sort of NI link here? I just put the 2 NI links together. Father was a basketball player. The son's going to be a basketball player. The son's going to try to live up to the promise and obligation of the wristband. And then, you know, at some point before the big game, he's going to realize it was never the wristband. It was him all along. And, you know, because he'll lose it, but he'll have the best game of his life. And he'll look up and he'll go, Dad, now I see you telling me I don't need the wristband. I don't need it anymore. I've really come of age. It's a coming of age story. So is that a tip on how to extrovertedly intuit? I don't think so. But it's an example. It's an example. I really think that in the story, the NI thing says like he puts too much significance in the wristband. He thinks there's one game he plays without it and he had a terrible game. And he starts believing that his father will only be with him as long as he has this wristband. And, eventually, though, he overcomes this, and that's the end of the movie, is he wins the championship without the wristband. And then, at the end, ironically, finds it right there at his locker and goes, Dad. And then the credits roll, So, studio executives want to bid on my wristband movie? Anybody? 1 million? 2 million? No? Rated PG for sure, CJ. Thanks, Nikola Hristov. So, yeah. Question mark mentions brings up my self-cleaning cup. As I've mentioned before, I have a self-cleaning coffee cup that I never have to wash. It just cleans itself. So I continue to drink my coffee from it without having to worry about washing it. Thanks, Running Fox. Thanks. Appreciate it. I got a lot of movie ideas like that. You can start with anything and come up with a movie. The cup is upsetting you. Why? Those aren't stains. Those are designs of the cup. That's built into the cup. That's the design of it. It's designed to look filthy. David Sanderson, you know my story about the lady who graduates from college with a sociology degree and decides that she's going to help the homeless and starts a dance troupe. You know that story?
Might have forgotten about it.
Okay. Well, so this is a movie pitch. The quick elevator pitch is Sister Act, but with homeless people and dancing. So the idea is this NFP lady, probably ENFP lady, she graduates from college with a sociology degree, and she cares a lot about the homeless, but she also cares a lot about interpretive dance. So she gathers together a group of homeless people and teaches them to be like a dance troupe that dances at like between quarters and basketball games or whatever. And you know, gradually they become really good, and they get, you get to meet all the different characters, and then they get invited to perform with the inauguration of the presidency. But Carla falls off the wagon. She's drunk, and there's a big argument whether or not they can take Carla with them. And then the president's inauguration hears about it, and they say, "We don't know if we want you to come anymore." But then Carla does something dramatic to make up for it. And additionally, there's solidarity amongst the group. And then they get to go perform, and they do a great job. And then like a senator comes up and says, I just want to say we are so proud to see these homeless people. And then, one of the homeless people grabs the mic from her and she says, "Lady, we ain't homeless. We home more." Because that's the name of the dance troupe, you see. Home more. And everybody cheers. Credits roll. Movie execs? Anybody? Anybody want to buy this movie? Sister Act, but with homeless people and dancing. It's a heartwarming hell of a film. She's still sleeping. It's early, Does anyone else always misplace their meow? The answer is yes.
Wait, are you the guy that wrote Space Jam?
I did not write Space Jam, no. I did not write Space Jam. I do have another idea for a movie, which is there's a guy in Detroit who invents a silent helicopter so that he can be a real life Santa to the children of Detroit. And the helicopter is completely silent. Now, of course, who's the bad guy in this? The military. The military's coming. They want to steal his idea and use it for military purposes. But he's a pacifist. He just wants to be a secret Santa for the children of Detroit. And he even outfits his silent helicopter with sounds of reindeers and stuff. He lands on people's roofs. It's a small helicopter. And he uses a pole to put down toys through the chimney if they have a chimney. If not, he finds other ways in. And he does, he enlists a group of, there's a community of little people who live just outside of Detroit. And he enlists their assistance to take on the role of elves. And they assist him in delivering all these presents and stuff. And there's all this viral footage out there of like the sound of something landing on their roof and Christmas presents coming down the chimney, and people are tripped out, And then at the end, the military is going to finally arrest him and steal his invention. But the children of Detroit surround the military and say, no, don't arrest Santa Claus. And it's all broadcast on live TV. And the military guy is arrested and defrocked of his military rank, or whatever it's called. Credits roll. What do you think? Anyone? No one wants to buy this movie. $5 million. Thank you, Nicola. Her dress off sold. Yeah, I got a lot of good movies. A lot of good movie ideas.
What is the next Community Among Us stream?
I don't know. I don't really love it, but it's not bad. But you should play Santa Claus at the local mall. So you could. I don't want to be a Santa Claus. I'm not chubby enough. I'm not nurturing enough. I'm not fond of having my lap sat upon enough.
Yeah. What type would make an ideal Santa Claus? Maybe like an ENFP?
Yeah.
Maybe an ENFJ or something like that. I don't know.
ENFP, ENFJ, one of those two. I think ENFP especially because of the FI, like genuine kindness or something. I decided to try a new map. And that was exciting for everyone. Eric, you can be Santa Claus's lanky elf who disproves Santa Claus in front of the kids and tells them how bad the choice of gift they wish for is. That's a good idea. All right, before we put you on Santa's lap, let me make something clear. That's not Santa. Now, what are you going to ask for? Okay, that's a shitty gift. Why don't you just ask for cash? Smarter choice, and you can spend it on whatever. All right, here you go. You're welcome. Meow. That wouldn't be nice of me. That would be mean of me. What type was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
ISFP?
Sanderson says ISFP. I
don't know. That came off the top of my head, so
I'm going to say I'm leaning ISFJ. He's kind of got this, well, golly, what can I do to please y'all thing going on, you know?
That's true.
Yeah. I'm going to wrap up the live stream now because why? I am on Sleepy Week and I've got to actually work in an hour and I have to read part of this book before I work on this book with that
Working
kid.
On debate coaching? Or?
No, English teaching, actually. I'm reading this book because the kid I'm working with, my debate client, I'm also helping him with his English shit. Reluctantly, but whatever. I'd rather have the money than be a dick. So I'm going to read this book. This book is an interesting book. It's about the Iranian Revolution. And it's a graphic novel. See? And it's about this little girl in the Iranian Revolution who it's quite a good book, actually. She is exposed to and sort of indoctrinated in a set of different paradigms that function as totalizing ideologies. And then she also has, as she describes it, her relationship with God. And basically, the book so far is about how all these totalizing ideologies fail, and she keeps coming back to her relationship with God. So it's an interesting book. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. Goodbye, David Sanderson. Talk to you later.
All right.
And meow, meow, meow.